What's going on, everybody? Welcome to an impromptu Tom's Takes that I just had to make. I'm sorry for the weird camera. I'm figuring this stuff out with my new OBS settings. I had to make a whole bunch of changes, and I just got done sitting down to watch the end of the Met game, and I needed to do something. I needed to make a video. Something. I'm so freaking frustrated about this team that I needed to let my aggression out somewhere, and I decided to sit behind a microphone and ramble on for however long I can make this video last for. Because look, the New York Mets just lost again to the Detroit Tigers 5-0 in the 10th. And I get it. This is the first 0-4 start since 2005. Not a great look. And I understand we were going into this year. They didn't make any big free agent moves. I mean, outside of JD Martinez, who's like almost 40. But they didn't make any big free agent splashes. We heard going in that they're bringing in David Stearns. David Stearns is going to look at the team, assess what he has from major league roster to the minor leagues, and then go move forward. That it wasn't about this year. It was about next year. But Steve Cohen came out and said that he hopes to make the playoffs. He hopes to be a wild card team or something, and that he'd be disappointed if this team didn't make the playoffs. And here we are at 0-4. The offense looks inept. I thought that the biggest problem was going to be the rotation, and I'm not saying the rotation's good. Quintana didn't look great on opening day. Sevy didn't look great when I was there on Saturday. Tyler McGill didn't look that great. Sean Manaea looked really good. He had no hits going through 5. And I went six innings, 1 hit, 2 walks, 8 Ks, didn't give up a run. Manaea looked great. Manaea looked better than any of us could have imagined, at least for his first game. And that was a bright spot. But this offense, man, is absolutely freaking inept. It is unbelievably brutal to watch. Nimmo, 3 at-bats, no hits with a walk. Lindor, 4 at-bats, no hits, walk and a strikeout. Alonso, 4 at-bats, 1 K. Alvarez, 4 at-bats, he got a hit. I love Alvarez. I got nothing to say about Alvarez right now. That dude is just... He is their offense. Thank God Mendoza decided to finally put him in the cleanup spot. DJ Stewart, 3 at bats, 1 walk, nothing, no hits. Marte, who's been on fire, got nothing to complain about. Marte, 4 at bats, 2 hits, 1 K, not going to complain. Brett Beatty, don't really know how to feel about him. He had 4 at-bats. He's got 2 hits. I really can't complain about him in this sense. He had 1 K, but he's got 2 hits. He did have a home run on oh, no, wait, I'm sorry. I read that wrong off the box score. It was 4 at-bats, 1 hit, and, still young, figuring it out. Harrison Bader, I don't even know if that dude can actually hit, even though he did have one today. Jeff McNeil sat on the bench. Joey Wendell, 4 at-bats, 2 Ks, and an error that just was unbelievable to watch. Look, I don't know. I know, like I just said before, I know it's a transitional year. I know it's a year that we're supposed to assess what the team has, but, I mean, if this is what it's going to be, man, this is going to be such a painful watch all year. I know I'm going to. I know I'm going to watch it all year. I know I'm going to catch every game or as many games as I possibly can because I'm a Mets fan and, I'm a glutton for punishment. I actually, on my Instagram, I put a post of Mr. Meeseeks that said existence is pain because that's what it is for a Mets fan. Existence is pain when you're a Mets fan. You got to watch a team that just underperforms year after year or doesn't perform year after year or just literally gives you a glimmer of hope like they did 2 years ago and then literally rips it right from you. And it's just, I don't know. I don't have enough of a sample size to really critique Carlos Mendoza, even though we know that the manager position is kind of just a puppet for the GM. And I don't even think David Stearns is technically the GM. I think he's president of baseball operations in some freaking convoluted title that you get. And I just don't know, man. I don't know. It doesn't feel right. This team doesn't feel right. We thought the bullpen was going to be okay, and the bullpen has been meh. It's been mediocre. Again, it's 4 games. I know I'm losing my mind over 4 games, but I mean, you got to understand. I love the Mets. Like most Met fans, I love the Mets. I love baseball. It's a sport that I grew up watching. It's a sport that I grew up playing. I love this. It's my favorite time of year is getting to sit down and watch baseball because it's on every day. Football. I love football, but football's once a week. You get it on Sunday. Monday sometimes if if your team's playing, and Thursday on sometimes. It's a rare occasion, so you don't get it every day. There's not always something to watch. Basketball isn't every day. Hockey isn't every day. Baseball is almost every single day with the occasional off day. So it's always something to watch, always something to be entertained by. And the Mets find some way every freaking time to just reach in and rip your heart out of your chest. And that's what they did today. I sat down after watching them get swept by the Brewers, after watching Rhys Hoskins beat the Mets, because that's what it was. Rhys Hoskins beat the Mets this weekend, watching us boo the crap out of the dude, and then he just hits tanks out of the stadium. And I was like, you know what? Tigers are coming to town. Mets are gonna get right against the Tigers. Here we go. We'll figure it out. Sean Manaea gonna pitch his brains out, and the Mets are gonna figure it out. The bats are gonna wake up, and they just didn't. They didn't. Can't hit with men on base. Can't hit with men in scoring position. Can barely get into scoring position. And is this what it's going to be? Is this what it's going to be all year? A team that can't hit? A team that can barely field? A team that, again, like it's like a revolving door. It doesn't matter who the Mets bring into their bullpen. They're just not going to perform. Edwin Diaz at least looked good today. I was really happy to see that. I love Edwin Diaz. I love seeing him take the mound, and I love seeing him dominate hitters. That's great. I'm so happy that Edwin is back and Edwin is dealing. That makes me happy because I was a little afraid, because you heard the rumors after he got the injury last year in the WBC that he might come back and not be the same player. But right now, in a small sample size, he looks like he's going to be the same closer. He looks like he's going to be lights out. He looks like if the Mets can be in any kind of contention at the end of the year, Diaz will be coming in high leverage situations, and you're just going to know, okay, we got this. This guy's going to close it out. We're going to be fine. We're going to have a good time. But they got to get there, man. They got to get there. And right now, I just don't see it. I just don't feel the excitement, or I don't feel the sense of urgency. And it's weird to say that you need a sense of urgency when we just hit April. It's April Fool's Day. It's still the beginning of the season. We're 4 games in. And it's weird to say that a team needs to have a sense of urgency. But in this case, when you're the Mets, who had a miserable year last year, who had an even more disappointing year the year before because you won 101 games, and then you just got beat up by the Padres. I'm sorry, you won 101 games, still managed to blow the division to the Braves, and then got beat up by the Padres in the playoffs. Then you followed up the next year with a miserable season, and now this year you start the season 0-4. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing here? This is going to be another This is just going to be another season, at least it looks like, through 4 games. And I know, look, anybody in the comments, feel free, toast me, tell me I'm overreacting. Please tell me I'm overreacting, because I know I am. I totally know I am. I know it's irresponsible and it's stupid to make blanket statements about an entire season when you're 4 games in. But when you already go into a season with low expectations, when you already go into a season where you don't have high hopes, where you're lucky if you make the 3rd wild card in a league where now everybody makes it. Like, everybody makes the playoffs now that they have the 3rd wild card. And even now, 4 games in, that feels out of reach. Look, I'm letting my scars show because I'm a Mets fan. Us Mets fans got a lot of them because we're here with a lot of disappointment. I could probably count on 1 or 2 hands how many times I've seen the Mets in the playoffs. So the idea of them not making it is totally something I could see because I've seen it most of my life. But I'm starved, man. I just want to see a contending team. I just want to see a good team. I just want to enjoy watching baseball because there's nothing like it. Like, sitting down to watch a team like that 101-win season. Up until we hit the playoffs, I loved it. I loved watching a team that's going to compete day in and day out, a team that even when they're down, like, how many 9th-inning comebacks did we get to watch 2 years ago when they won 101 games? I still can't believe that even happened, to be quite honest with you. It was 9th-inning comeback after 9th-inning comeback. It was a team that just didn't quit, a team that pitched well and was fun. A team that had Jacob deGrom out for a little while, a team that had Max Scherzer out for a little while, but figured a way to scrap together wins to win 101 games. Sure, they flamed out against the Padres, but we at least had an entire season to enjoy. Like, that's the thing. Like I'm not comparing the Mets to the Yankees. That's not what I'm saying. Like, Yankee fans I've got a lot of friends that are Yankee fans. Obviously, I live in New York. They measure their seasons on whether or not they win the World Series, and that is how they decide if a season is a success or a failure. I, as a Mets fan, don't do that. I judge whether a season is a success or a failure based on if I had fun watching it, if I enjoyed myself watching the team. 2015 came. 2015, if you would have told me in the beginning of the season that the Mets were going to win the World Series, get to the World Series, I probably would have laughed at you. And it was a hard season. There were a lot of down moments. But that run to the World Series is probably one of the most fun experiences I've had watching baseball probably in my life. Like outside of the 2006 Mets, who again ripped my heart out of my chest by losing to the Cardinals in this NLCS, 2015 is probably the most fun I've had watching the Mets since 2006. That playoff run was magical. It was so much fun. I don't consider it a failed season, even though they lost to the Royals. That sucked, but I at least had a good time. Like that ride from start to finish was so much fun. Watching Daniel Murphy and the Mets beat the crap out of the Dodgers, then the Cubs, and then get to the World Series was just. I'd love to relive that again, even though I know the outcome. I'd love to live that again. That's how I measure a season. I measure a season whether or not I had fun, whether or not I tuned in every week to have a good time. And at least through the first 4 weeks of the season, I am not having a good time. Quintana looked shaky, but the offense didn't do anything for him in the first game. Sevy was getting hit all over the ballpark. I was there. It was cold, and it sucked. They did kind of come on a little late. They did make it close. They did get within one run, but still, following day, anemic offense. They saved all their runs for the second day, but they couldn't score enough. I don't see where things get better right now. I don't. I hope Senga comes back and he pitches well. I think he's throwing again, which is great. I'm excited to see that. I hope he can provide some kind of jolt to this rotation, and kind of take a little bit of pressure off of Quintana. Let Sevy drop down in the rotation, take a little pressure off him, and hopefully this is the Sean Manaea we're getting. Hopefully once Sean Manaea shaved his head and shaved his beard, this dude figured it the fuck out. I forgot. I just got done doing the Grindhouse Radio. If you don't know what that is, I do a podcast with two of my co-hosts. Brimstone, former wrestler, wrestled with WWE when it was WWF. He'd been all over the indies too. And then my girlfriend Kim Dragna, voice actress, very talented. We're very talented podcasters. Every Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Find it, the Grindhouse Radio, anywhere you can get podcasts. I just got done doing that, so we don't curse on that show, or we have to beep them out. So I try to hold back, but I'm just freaking livid. Joey Wendell, I don't know what to say. Brandon Nimmo batting .063 is just, that's not Brandon Nimmo. Brandon Nimmo's a dude that gets hits and he gets on base at the very least, and he just isn't hitting. Francisco Lindor, I love Francisco Lindor. Anybody that hates on that dude, I don't get it. Won a Silver Slugger last year, looked like an absolute beast, is a really good shortstop. We saw him make that nice over-the-shoulder catch tonight. Just a really great player. Really great player. Just he's not hitting. Pete Alonso in a walk year. .267. Not bad. I think he's definitely got a home run. Saw that. But still not really hitting to the extent that you need Pete to be hitting. Francisco Alvarez still young, figuring it out. I'm excited. He's the bright spot right now. Seeing what Alvarez does at the major league level this entire season, I guess, is the reason to watch the Mets right now, because they just look anemic. They just look like they can't hang with the rest of the league. 0-4. 0-4. You can't even get one win. You can't even get one win and scrape one win against the Brewers. You can't even scrape out one win against the Tigers. It was 5 runs in the 10th. They gave up 5 runs in the 10th. My camera's shaking because I keep hitting the freaking table. My legs are shaking too because I'm just very jittery because I just can't believe that I had to sit down. I was watching it while we were recording. I was watching the game and just thinking, how is this team not beating the Detroit Tigers? I don't think the Tigers are very good. They got a lot of first-round picks that are coming up this year, but I don't think the Tigers are very good. Evidently, they are. Maybe I'm just not watching enough baseball. Maybe I'm just not watching enough around the league. I'm too busy watching the Mets. Maybe I didn't realize that the Tigers are going to be good this year. Maybe I didn't. But the Tigers were coming to town, and this was a team that I thought the Mets might have a shot against. I forgot that the Tigers beat up on the Mets last year, and I really hope somebody in this comments section, if anybody does watch this video, and I would appreciate it if you did, please hit me with a subscribe. Go follow me on Twitch at It's Mr. Greer. But and on all social media, it says at the bottom, It's Mr. Greer. Everywhere. I'm so effed up that I forgot what I was talking about. I forgot where I was. I forgot my train of thought. Like, the Mets have made it a regular thing to like lose in the month of June. That's what I used to say whenever I would talk to my friends, or I talk to my coworkers, or I talk to family. Be like, if we can make it out of June with a winning record, I'll feel like this team is going to contend. I'll feel like maybe we have something here. Now I'm praying they make it out of April with a winning record. Now I'm praying. I feel like this feels like these 4 games. Again, overreacting. I understand. I just watched my team get swept by the Brewers and lose the first game to the Tigers in really shitty fashion. I totally get that I am overreacting. Easy. Gotcha. Totally understand. But this feels like a team that's going nowhere. This feels like a team that's got no heart. It's got no drive. It feels like a team that is just going to be the baddest of bad. This feels like a season that we're going to be praying they come close to a third wild card. Not even make the third wild card, just come close. This is going to be a season where we're talking about seeing Luis Angel Acuna and Ryan Cliff. We're going to be praying that we see the young guys in June. Mets fans are going to be clamoring for the young guys to come up in June. We're going to want to see Jet Williams by Memorial Day. Because this team just doesn't have it. Jeff McNeil does not look like even in 4 games, does not look like he's the guy that won the batting title a couple of years ago. He looks like the guy from last year that could barely hit. He just feels like a head case. Like Jeff McNeil feels like the Mike Pelfrey and like the John Maine guy, where once things go bad, they get in their own head and then they beat themselves up. That's what that was. That's what Jeff McNeil feels like. Jeff McNeil feels like he's one bad thing away from losing his goddamn mind and just his game going into the tank. That's what it feels like for me. And I've been a big Jeff McNeil supporter. Like, you listen to sports radio in New York, and people hate on Jeff McNeil, saying that they don't like him as a player, that he's over emotional, lets things get to his head too much, like I just said. And I used to defend him because I'm like, look, this dude can hit. This dude can hit above 300. This dude won a batting title a couple of years ago, and I defend him all the time. And I'm starting to get really fucking tired of it. I'm starting to get tired of a guy that looks like a head case, visibly looks like a head case, and can't hang. He looks like he's starting to look like a guy that can't cut it here. And he has for so long. Since he came up, the dude was a hitting machine, and now what's his average? Jeff McNeil batting .083. Again, in 4 games. I get it. I totally get it. But we need more out of that. Jeff McNeil should, and again, Carlos Mendoza, I know you're not listening. Absolutely. It'd be ridiculous if you were going on YouTube and looking at my videos, because, I mean, you don't even know who I am. But if I see Jeff McNeil batting 4th again, I'm going to lose it. Because that dude is not a cleanup hitter. At all. I would almost rather Starling Marte clean up than Jeff McNeil, because Starling Marte's at least hitting. That dude looks like he bat 357. Again, in 4 games, but 357. That dude is raking. That dude is showing that he must have been hurt all of last year, because he is awake and he is performing. I don't get it. I really don't get it. And DJ Stewart, great story last year. You know, he kind of came in late at the season and provided a little bit of a spark off the bench. But you know what? Maybe I'm crazy. I think I'd rather see Vientos just DH. Just call the dude up and just stick him in DH. I don't think that's necessarily going to be better. It's just that it's something. I know we're waiting for JD Martinez to kind of just be ready so they can come up and just stick him in the DH spot, but is that going to help? Is that going to be better? Please, somebody with more knowledge than me, somebody with more baseball acumen than me, Please talk me off the ledge because I can't. It's painful. The Mets are painful. Existence is pain. I don't get it. I don't get how this is a team that looks this bad, this unmotivated, this just dead. It's a point at 4 games in where you go look at the lineup and you just say, it ain't it. It ain't happening. I already had questions about the starting rotation going in, like I just said earlier on. I already had questions about the rotation, not really having all that much confidence in it. I have confidence in Senga. Like, once he gets back and healthy, he looked really good last year, and I have confidence in him. I think he'll be good. I did have confidence, like I said before, I did have confidence that Sevy was going to turn it around. It did not show that in the first game. But what I said, what I initially said was going into the season, I was talking to my personal life. I was saying I think the lineup is going to be better than we expect. I think the lineup is going to be able to help out this starting rotation. And oh boy, was I wrong. Wrong. And is adding JD Martinez, a guy that's getting closer and closer to 40, gonna change things too much? Is he gonna provide enough protection for Pete in the lineup for the for the Mets to start hitting? Is he gonna be something that you could insert into the middle of that lineup and it's gonna help everybody? I just don't know, because everybody just looks off. They just don't look ready. Now, McNeil, I guess, now that I'm thinking about it, they did mention it in the broadcast. He was dealing with a little bit of an injury, so he didn't have the full extent of spring training to really work his way back into baseball shape, so maybe that's just going to take a little bit longer. But, I mean, hey, dude, when you got teams like the Braves in the division, even though they were never going to compete for the division, when you have the Phillies in the same division, when you have good teams in the division, can you really withstand one of your guys that you need to be a main contributor just absolutely looking like a shell of himself? Because that's what Jeff McNeil looks like. Shell of himself. You see, that blow up against Rhys Hoskins a couple of days ago probably would have looked a lot better had the Mets not looked as anemic as they did. He just looked like a whiny baby, and I get it. It looked like a late slide. Hoskins is a bum, and he doesn't like the Mets, evidently, and that could have really hurt Jeff. I totally get it. I get the anger, but like, it just never looks good when the Mets are bitching and complaining about something when you look like an inept baseball team. I listened to WFAN like every day, and I heard Brandon Tierney talking about how the Mets looked like a 75-win team going into the season, and it would make me so mad because I'm like, no, they're going to be better than 75 wins. I have the hope. Every year they weasel me back in, they suck me back in, and I find a way to spin zone myself into this being a good year. I always do. And I did again this year, and this time it just sucks. This time it just really freaking hurts. Because they just look so unbelievably bad. I was excited for Harrison Bader to come here. I was like, cool. I mean, it kind of. I was a little like, I don't like picking up Yankee scraps, and we just did it twice with Bader and Sevy. But like, he's a really good center fielder, and if he could stay healthy, maybe he could be a good pickup. Well, I forgot one thing: Harrison Bader can't hit. That dude can't hit at all. He just is a really good center fielder. The dude is similar to Juan Lagares. Dude can patrol a good center field, but can't hit at all. I don't know. This season, 4 games in, already feels like we're going to be clamoring for the young guys come end of April into June, and that's way too early to be asking for young guys to come up and save a season or even just contribute in a season. They already moved Drew Gilbert to first base, I think, and everybody's losing their minds like, oh my God, does this mean they're not going to re-sign Pete? They're probably going to re-sign Pete. Just maybe a little position versatility. But again, this is going to be a short video. I'm not really going to be on here talking for like a whole hour because I just wanted to do this because I'm frustrated and, I needed to get some aggression out somewhere. So I decided, why not make a short little 20-minute, 30-minute video and just voice your displeasure. And oh boy, do I have some displeasure. Because I'm a Mets fan, long suffering. And whenever anybody asks me if I'm a Mets fan or if, like, what team I root for, I say long suffering Mets fan, because I am, and we all are. Long and suffering. And this season does not look much better 4 games in. But look, hey, it's still early. We're 4 games in. Maybe they get a win tomorrow and they break this stupid freaking losing streak, and they haven't won a game since last September. Maybe they're going to run and shut me up. I just kind of don't see it right now because this team has just looked unwatchable for the last couple of weeks. Well, not even last couple of weeks. Last couple of days. I keep saying this like the season's been going on for a little while. The season's been going on for 4 games. And again, please feel free to hop in the comments and tell me how much I'm overreacting and how much I'm being a big baby and how patient I gotta be. I would love that. I would love everybody to just toast me over how I'm feeling about the Mets right now. But this team just looks like it stinks. It looks like the Mets that I basically grew up watching. Like I said, I could probably count on 2 hands, maybe 1, how many times I've seen the Mets in the playoffs in my whole lifetime. In my 31, almost 32 years, I'll be 32 in September, 31 years on this earth. I could probably count on 2 hands, maybe 1 hand, the amount of times I've seen the Mets in the playoffs. And this feels like another season where I will not be seeing that. 4 games in. But, yeah, this is going to be a short one. That's all the time I have. I just needed to let that out. Thank you, everybody, for watching. If you are watching this video, please hit me with a subscribe. Go follow me on Twitch. Add it to Mr. Greer. I really, really appreciate anybody, and also anybody that watched my last couple of videos, the ones that I did in Play Call of Duty, and the last one I did playing South Park Snow Day. I very much appreciate you. It's not a lot of viewers, but I really appreciate you. It's a lot of fun when I decide to get out of my comfort zone and just start making some videos and putting it out for people to watch. So, you are all really appreciated, and I can't thank you enough. Feel free to hop in the comments, and I will read through them, and we'll see where we go from here, Mets fans. And even if you want to roast me, if you're not a Mets fan, if you want to just toast me and make fun of me for being a Mets fan, go right ahead. Feel free. I lived it. I lived it all. I lived it my whole life. I was in elementary school when the Mets lost in 2000 to the Yankees, and oh boy, I don't think you can say many things that'll hurt me now compared to what I heard back then. So, thank you for coming to my non-TED Talk and letting me rant and rave about the Mets for a little while. And have a great rest of your night. Have a great rest of your day if you're watching this in the daytime. And I will see you all next time.